Hey everyone, in this video I'm going to walk you through the second story and translate it for you. The second story from Road to Latin chapter 2. So this story is called Schola Romana II. And again, like I've been saying, if you want, go to novalatin.weebly.com. You can check out my version of this, or I've digitized the original version of Road to Latin. Either way, you can find this digitally with a bunch of resources there. The original version is literally just the textbook digitized. If you go to my textbook, I've added my own notes, my own grammar, and I've adapted it a little bit. So I'll leave it for you. I'd highly recommend you take a look. Just make it easier on yourself. But it's something that might help you as you go through your study of Latin if you're using this textbook. The first thing we want to do, again, before we dive into the story, is a little quick grammar recap. So we talked about the different cases in the previous video when we translated the first part of this chapter, the first story rather, and we talked about the difference between nominative case and accusative case. The thing I wanted to show you now is just visually give you this cue again on what they look like in Latin. And this is what I mean. If you're looking at a Latin noun and it ends in an A or an AE, it's nominative case. And if you look on the left-hand side of the slide, you can see that the A is singular. That would be like saying something like puella, the girl. If you make it AE, now you've pluralized it. So puellae would mean the girls, right? So it's just the difference between singular and plural, but they both represent the subject of your sentence, the nominative case. On the other side, we have the accusative, which is really for direct objects, right? Things that receive the action or something is happening to them is one way to think about it. And we've learned so far that AM is singular and AS with a macron or a long mark over it is plural. So again, AM and AS, they represent direct objects. The only difference is between singular and plural. So you want to make sure that you have that kind of under control and you feel comfortable with it. Otherwise, it's going to be tricky to translate, right? You're going to struggle trying to figure out, well, what is this word doing? Where am I going? It's just easier if you get this under control so that you can translate the story without having to think too much about it. The next thing that you got to do, like I said, is you got to translate, or sorry, not translate, you have to do the vocab before you can translate this story. So dive into the vocab, make sure you feel really comfortable with it. It's very difficult to translate when you don't know what the words mean. So you got to start there. Once you reach that point, it's time to dive in. So this is Schola Romana II. It starts by saying Scholae magistrum et puellas delectam. So the first word, and again, remember I've color-coded it, so red is nominative, blue is accusative. The first word is our subject, scholae, and you'll notice that it has the AE ending, which we said is nominative plural. So I'm not saying a school does something, but schools, plural. So the schools do something. What are they doing? Delectant. And again, if you're following along, particularly with my version of the textbook, we talked about verb endings, and you'll notice that when a verb ends in a T, the subject is singular, but when it's got an NT, that subject is plural. So a short way of thinking of this is so far, if you see an AE as your subject, right, scholae, a noun ending in AE, you need an NT on your verb, which is why we have delectant here. So you're saying the schools delight, they delight, right, NT. Who did they delight? We need a direct object. Magistrum et puellas. There's my accusative case. Magistrum has the AM ending. Puellas has the AS. So you're saying schools, or the schools, delight the teacher, the magistrum, and the girls, the puellas. Again, it's plural, so it's the girls. Then we have Antiqua Schola Romana Est. So the ancient school, Antiqua Schola, Est, it is Romana, is Roman, right? Or another way to translate this is to say the Roman school is ancient, right? But it probably makes more sense to say the ancient school, right, the one that we're talking about, is Roman, right, which makes sense. And especially when you take it with the next line, Nova Schola Americana Est. So the new school is Est Americana, is American. And again, that's what these first two chapters have been doing, trying to show you the difference between a Roman school, an old or ancient school, Antiqua, right, a Roman school, and a new school. So American versus Roman is kind of the idea. But in these first three lines, most of our words are subjects, nominative, but there's a good amount of grammar here that you can process, even though we're only 2 chapters into the textbook, right? The A is a nominative singular ending. It goes with a T verb ending, right? So in the second line, that's why we have Antiqua Schola Est, right? And the AE is a nominative plural. So scholae goes with delectant. So the endings need to match is one way to think about it. And you're already starting to see the difference between a subject like scholae in the first line and a direct object like magistrum or puellas, right? Singular and plural. Now we go to the rest of this paragraph. You have Schola Antiqua, longa celas habet. So the ancient school, right, Antiqua Schola, it has, habet, longas cellas, right? Long chairs. And what it means by that is really a bench, right? So this is kind of the book's way of saying a bench. They call it a long chair, right? So longa cellas just means it has long chairs. And you can see that if you look in the picture to the right, you can see, I think, unless I'm mistaken, those three boys to the right are just sitting on a bench. The boy to the left is sitting in his own chair. But again, it's the idea that they have long chairs or benches, right? Schola Noa parvas cellas habet. So a new school, meaning American school, has habet parvas cellas, small chairs, right? And in this case, I think it means individual chairs as opposed to a bench. So again, it's trying to get at the differences physically between a Roman classroom, rather, and an American one, right? That's what they're trying to highlight here. Now we move on to the next part. We have Schola Romana neque januum neque fenestram habet. So there's something interesting happening in this line. You have neque. These are called correlatives. So basically what it means is you're saying neither nor, right? These words always go together. You're saying neither blank nor blank, right? In this case, you'd translate it neither januam, so something about a door, nor fenestram, something about a window. But let's start with our subject, Schola Romana, right? You can see it's in red. It's the nominative. They both end in A, so that's my subject. So the Roman school, our verb here is habet, it has. So the Roman school has neither nor, neque, right? So we need direct objects. What does it have, or in this case, not have? It has neither a januam, a door, right, nor a fenestram, a window. So again, it's playing at the idea that Roman schools would be out in the open. So it's saying an American school has, doors and windows, but a Roman school doesn't. Right? And it continues rather into the next sentence when you say Schola Americana et januas et fenestras habet. So the second pair of correlatives here is et. So neque, they always go together. It's neither nor, right? Et means both and. Okay, so it's kind of opposites, if that makes sense. So you're saying the Schola Americana, right? The American school, habet, has both januas, windows, plural, and doors rather, januas, and fenestras, windows, right? And notice how the Roman school was talking about a singular direct object, januam, fenestram. It's saying it has neither a door nor a window because it doesn't have any at all. Now it's saying that American school not only has a door and a window, but it has more than one, right? That's why we've pluralized januas et fenestras, right? They're accusative plural. So the American school has both doors and windows, which is true. Now we go to the last part. You have antiquae scholae sunt apertae. So ancient schools, right? Again, it's plural because of the ae ending on antiquae and scholae. Ancient schools are, and notice how instead of est, it is, we have sunt, which means are, right? They are. It ends in the nt. That's why it's plural. So ancient schools are apertae, they're open. And again, it's just repeating a lot of what we've been saying to help you memorize these words and practice the grammar, right? So ancient schools are open, but said novae scholae, new schools, are tectae, right? They're enclosed, okay? And notice how all of these are plural. Antiquae scholae, right? Ancient schools are apertae, open. Novae scholae, new schools, are tectae, closed, right? Which is true. We've closed them off. Schola Romana puellas Americanas delectat, quod puellae Americanae scholas apertas amat. So you're saying the Roman school, the Schola Romana, it delights the puellas Americanas, the American girls, right? Notice how it's plural. So again, that's the direct object. You're saying who or what does the Schola Romana delight? Oh, it delights the American girls. Why does it do this? Because, quote, here's our conjunction. We're going into sort of a second half of the sentence here. Because puellae Americanae, American girls, right? And notice how it's playing on showing you nominative versus accusative. Right before this, we had puellas Americanas because they were a direct object. Now we have puellae Americanae, and again, that change in pronunciation, the change in the ending is supposed to cue you in that it's functioning differently. So in the first half of the sentence, the American girls are the direct object. You're saying the Roman school delights the American girls. In the second half of the sentence, right after the conjunction quod, which means because, the American girls are your subject. So you're saying because the American girls, the puellae Americanae, scholas apertas amant, because they like or they love amant, right? Notice the nt, it's a plural verb. They like scholas apertas, open schools. So it's playing on this idea that the American students, the girls in this case, they like hearing about the Roman school because they don't like being closed in, right? They wish we were here. And if you're a teacher watching this, how many times when it's nice weather out do we get asked, can we go outside? Can we have class outside, right? Everyone wants to do that. Same thing here. So it's talking about that idea of, a Roman school looks one way, an American school looks another. And you can see how these two stories go together, right? This is Schola Romana II. It's basically picking up the story, but now we're adding plurals. That's all we're really doing here. So if you study these one at a time, you're going to catch a lot of good grammar from this. Again, my advice to you, read this out loud, right? Read it aloud, find someone to practice in class so you can practice your pronunciation, then have them read the story back to you. I know I say this on almost all my videos, but it's really important. You don't want to cut off your speaking and listening skills, right? There's basically 4 things we can do in Latin class. We can read, we can write, we can speak, we can listen. You don't want to only focus on reading. And I know sometimes we do that. You want to write Latin whenever you can. And that's why Road to Latin is good. They have a bunch of Latin writing exercises, if you take a look at it. You want to write in Latin. You want to speak and read and listen in Latin, right? Bring all those skills together. It's the only way you're going to really understand this language. And if you're wondering if it works, just look at, any other second language acquisition, right? You wouldn't want to go to French class and never listen or speak to French. That wouldn't make a lot of sense, right? So you want to bring that skill to Latin class too. So find a way to practice it. Even if you have to annoy family members, go for it. Find a classmate, do what you can. Good luck with it. If you have any questions at all, just let me know in the comments below.